Hey, what is up, mortals? It is VA here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 3 of What If Izuku Had the 10 Rings. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. One thing that most people don't expect to see when they wake up is their hero repeatedly slapping them in the face. Nevertheless, the constant small slaps hitting Izuku's left cheek alongside a tremendously deep voice asking him to wake up were exactly what he woke up to. Opening his eyes, the boy yelped and scuttled backwards in shock as he saw the face of his idol mere inches away from his own. Ah, good. You're awake, young man. I was starting to get worried there. Oh, mate! You're here! Well, of course. I couldn't let that villain get away from me, now could I? I'm sorry I couldn't get here faster. I haven't been in this part of town long, and I kinda got turned around in the pipes there. Anyway, what's done is done, and you don't seem to be any worse for wear. I can't believe it's really you! I'm your biggest fan. I want to be a hero just like you! Oh, wait, what happened to the villain? Well, once I checked that you were alright, I took care of him. All Might held out a large soda bottle filled with ooze and at least one clearly unconscious eyeball. Detaining villains is important, but a hero's first responsibility is always to the people. Remember that. Of course. After letting out another quick yelp, Izuku quickly took his bag off of his back and began rummaging for his notebook. Finding it and grabbing a pen while he was at it, he of course did what any fanboy would do. Can I have your autograph? All Might let out a boisterous laugh at the sight and took the notebook from Izuku, leaving a large underlined scrawl of his name across 2 pages of the book. Thank you! This will become a family heirloom! All Might let out another laugh at Izuku's antics, but then he rather suddenly moved his hand toward his mouth and cleared his throat. Well, young, I don't think I caught your name. Izuku Midoriya. Well, young Midoriya, from the small amount of your defense that I saw, I can tell that you should be something special. I look forward to seeing your hero career unfold. You should be excellent. But now, I must go. After all, this villain won't stay unconscious forever. Have a wonderful day, future hero. And with those last words of encouragement, All Might crouched down and leaped away, forcing Izuku to cover his eyes from the dust his shockwave kicked up. The young green-haired boy was still vibrating from the combination of excitement, fear, and adrenaline that he just experienced within the past few minutes, though it left him exhausted quite quickly as the adrenaline passed. However tired he may have been from the ordeal, he left the underpass with a pep in his step and a smile on his face. Izuku continued on his way home, taking his planned route. But an explosion nearby caught his attention. Hearing the start of a commotion, he knew it could only be one thing: a villain attack. Reinvigorated, Izuku ran toward the source of the noise. A few blocks later, Izuku joined the outer part of a large crowd that had gathered to watch the conflict, as they often do. He started weaving his way through the crowd as it started to thicken, not thinking twice when he passed a blond, skeletal man. After a bit of jostling, Izuku found himself at the front of the crowd, only a couple dozen meters away from the burning area, where a group of heroes were struggling against a villain that looked problematically familiar. The bottles! All Might shoved them in his pocket. They must have fallen out without him noticing. Hey, look at that! The villain's got a hostage. Oh dear, that'll make it harder for the heroes to deal with this mess. A hostage? A shout tore through the noise of the crowd. Damn it! You've got no idea who you're dealing with. You've got an excellent quirk, kid. I'll make sure to use it once you're mine. Izuku could just see Bakugou being smothered by the massive ooze that had attempted the same thing on him just minutes ago. And now he was watching as his oldest friend faced death. He didn't think. He just ran. Izuku blazed past the makeshift barrier put up by the hero backdraft, disregarding the warnings and orders shouted at him by the other heroes nearby, Kamui Woods and Death Arms. It didn't matter to him at the moment. Not you again! Let go of him! Izuku launched himself forward with a quick blast of the rings, dodging a tentacle of slime that the villain had sent toward him. Hitting the ground, Izuku somersaulted under a second, firing one of the rings at the villain's eyes as he came out of the roll. Izuku continued his momentum and ran up close to the villain, and Katsuki, who had managed to free his mouth once again. What the hell are you doing here, nerd? You got a death wish? I don't know. My legs, they just moved on their own. And you looked like you needed help. Izuku stuck his hand into the slime, trying to reach Katsuki, but he was quickly repelled as the villain tried to respond, blind. How do I get him out? Izuku thought. trying to find a way to help Katsuki, even as the slime villain redirected a blast from the boy's quirk toward the heroes who were renewing their efforts to get to him. Going out on a limb, Izuku threw his right arm out to the side, the 5 rings from it responding and suspending themselves in the air just beyond his fist. As Izuku twisted around another tentacle, he sent the rings flying toward the exposed arm the villain was manipulating to use Katsuki's quirk. One of the rings latched onto Katsuki's wrist, as Izuku grabbed onto the ring closest to himself. Using that ring as a handle, Izuku pulled hard, yanking Katsuki out of the slime, accidentally colliding with him on the boy's way down. The two fell to the ground, the 5 rings clattering to the pavement. The two scrambled to try and get back up, but the slime villain was already above them. "I've got both of you now!" The villain shouted in victory as looks of fear appeared on the faces of both Katsuki and Izuku. "I think not." All Might's voice rang commandingly around the area. "Detroit, smash!" The slime villain screamed as he was splattered by a punch with the force of a tornado. Everyone, from the heroes to the crowd to the 2 relieved children on the ground, were awestruck by the power of All Might, even as it started to rain from the drastic change in air pressure he had created. "I really am pathetic, just standing there as you do my job for me, even after telling you about the first responsibility of a hero. My apologies, young Midoriya. And to you, young man." That was all the number 1 hero could say before being swarmed by reporters and admirers. Katsuki and Izuku were themselves surrounded by paramedics and heroes. Soon enough, though, Izuku was allowed to go on his way, after being thoroughly admonished by the heroes who had stood around waiting for a suitable quirk. Izuku once again began his path back home, though this time with significantly more sore muscles and a singed and slime-soaked school uniform. This video is sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari, and many others. If it's a browser, then it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on a variety of sites like Amazon, Papa John's, or Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these major sites is click that little orange button, and it will scan the internet to find discount codes for you. It just takes 2 clicks to install Honey. If there's a coupon code, Honey will find it, and if there's not, then you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible, and there isn't one available on the internet. If you install Honey right now, you can save dozens, if not hundreds of dollars on your shopping doing nothing. There's literally no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks. 10 million people use it. It has 100,000 5-star reviews. So, unless you hate money, you should install Honey. As Izuku walked, he contemplated how the heroes had simply stood there and waited for someone else to do their jobs. With some exceptions, though. Kamui Woods had been in danger due to the amount of fire at the site. He could have been lit up, and throughout it he was trying to keep the crowd back and mitigate the damage. And Backdraft, he was busy keeping the blaze contained and keeping people back as well. But Mount Lady and Death Arms had really just stood there uselessly. The former could have shrunk down in order to fit through the street and get to the emergency. And Death Arms, well, he could have rushed the slime villain, grabbed Katsuki out in a hit-and-run attack. But he just stood there. They weren't completing the spirit or the letter of the job of hero. Izuku's contemplation was shattered, however, by a particularly bombastic Pomeranian deciding to turn a corner at that exact moment. "Deku!" "Huh? Kachan?" Katsuki came running down the street behind Izuku, stopping just in front of him to catch his breath before continuing. "Listen, I would never ask for a weakling like you to help me. Don't think you can look down on me, huh? Got that? I didn't need you. You did nothing. Don't forget it. I don't owe you anything." "What was that?" "Oh, well, it's not exactly surprising." With that out of the way, and Katsuki once again making his own way back home, conspicuously in a different way than Izuku, the boy continued on again. Or at least he would have if a giant man had not appeared from a back alley shouting, "I am here!" and scaring the crap out of Izuku. "All Might! Why are you here? How did you get rid of all those reporters?" All Might laughed. "Ha ha ha ha! I stand for justice, not sound bites, because I am all bleh." Izuku screamed as he saw his hero go from his massive and boisterous self to a skeletal, emaciated twig of a man, and proceeded to have an existential crisis while All Might tried to calm him down and stop him from muttering at the speed of sound. "I thought this would happen, but it's a risk I'm willing to take." Oh, no, you can't be All Might. You're an imposter. It's me, all right, kid. But it's a long story. Let's go somewhere people won't hear us. The beach nearby should do. No, I'm not going anywhere with some imposter pretending to be All Might. All Might sighed and resigned himself to giving part of their story right where they were. He held up a hand and then brought up his shirt, revealing the gruesome injury that sapped his strength. I got this from a villain about 5 years ago, kid. My time in my usable hero form has been dwindling ever since. That actually does make a bit of sense. Your public appearances have been rarer recently. You said 5 years, right? Was it the fight with Toxic Chainsaw? You know your stuff, kid. But if you want to hear the story, then we'll have to go somewhere with less ears. There's only so long people can ignore yelling in an alley. Oh, yeah, I guess so. The two made their way to the nearby Dagobah beach, Izuku pestering All Might with questions about heroes along the way, as well as continuing to verify his identity. Once they reached the beach, they maneuvered around the massive junk piles until they came to the empty shore and sat down. There, All Might told Izuku about his fight against a nemesis the boy had never heard of, and he learned of the existence of One for All. One for All? There's been so much speculation online about what your quirk could be. General enhancement, super strength, everything. So, what does One for All actually do? Well, the truth is much more impressive than any of the basic ideas. You see, One for All stockpiles energy. That is only one facet, as it can be passed on to another user. So, the energy from past users gets transferred with the quirk and allows me my great strength. I am the 8th user. I carry the collective strength of the other 7 users plus myself. And if you accept my offer, then you will be the 9th. What? All Might stood, reaching what height he could in his normal form. Young Midoriya, I deem you worthy. Will you accept my power? Izuku sat there stunned. His idol had just offered him the power to change the weather and level cities with a punch. But he already had power. Izuku looked down at his arms, where the rings hung loose around his wrists. With the rings, he could already make it far. An All Might level strength might just make the sudden change more conspicuous. Izuku clenched a fist before looking up at All Might, whose head was framed by the setting sun. All Might, I'm so honored, but I don't think I should. I only just got my own quirk yesterday after so many years of being quirkless. What? You fought off a villain without even a day of practice? Yeah, I guess I did. Izuku chuckled as the enormity of what he did hit him right in the head. Young Midoriya, you would have been the best successor I could hope for, and you turned it all down to work on your own power. It makes me wish you had accepted it even more. All Might sighed as his shoulders dropped a little. Well, you may not be the new carrier of my power, but there is something else. Young Midoriya, tell me something. Eh? When you ran in to save that boy from the sludge villain, what were you thinking? Well, I wasn't, really. I just saw him there. He looked like he needed help, and my legs moved on their own. Young Midoriya, among the origins of the greatest heroes, there is almost always one joining factor. All of them had a moment when they saw someone in need, and they just moved to help without thinking. You, young Midoriya, may not be the successor of my quirk, but you may just be the next symbol of peace. So, young man, will you let me help you reach your apex? Will you become a great hero? Will you accept my training and become my successor? All Might inflated to his hero form once more as Midoriya processed what he was hearing. All Might wanted to train him. There was only one answer. Yes, I accept, All Might. Excellent! Now then, let's go tell your mother. Wait, what? It's not going to be a secret? All Might deflated once more. Well, since I'm not going to train you to receive my quirk, there isn't too much need for actual, secrecy. Besides, you'll be training here most of the time anyway, so people are bound to at least see you. I see your point. Indeed. Now let's go. Come on, I need you to show me the way to your house. With that, while he may not have received power nearly beyond imagining, Izuku started down his own path. His path toward being the #1 hero and the next symbol of peace. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. So, have a wonderful day.